Hello, welcome back everybody. Let's have a look at these charts then, shall we? We'll have a look at Matic, obviously, because we need to have a good look at Matic. But we also have to bear in mind the whole Bitcoin situation. So a couple of days ago I did make a video, and I know my channel's not the most popular, and I did say that it looked as though it was topping out, and those who join me on my Telegram group, I did say that I'd sold everything. I'd sold all my Matic because it looked like a top to me. So I did put it out there, and it wasn't, the reason wasn't because Matic didn't look like, I mean, Matic could have gone higher, clearly. My problem with it was that Bitcoin looked like it wanted to pull back, and Matic had already gone up over 200%. It was slowing down, which made it vulnerable to a pullback in the market. And just by looking at, let's just have a look at the situation of the market now. I mean, it's not good, is it? It's all red. It's all red, and this is what happens when Bitcoin starts to pull back. We've got a couple in the green, but generally it's all red. So I knew that we were struggling to break this descending trend here. I knew that we were going to pull back from it because basically we have pulled back from it every single time we've touched it, and some have been significant pullbacks. Others more recently have been, I mean, that was quite big, but basically you get the idea. Every time we touch this descending trend here, we pull back from it. So we've been touching it here, unable to break through it. There was a chance it could have broken through, but because it's been rejected every single time, I believed it to be a 50-50 chance of either breaking through or pulling back. And for me, 50-50 chance is just a gamble. You can't gamble with thousands of pounds. You just can't gamble with that large amount of money. It's not, we're not here to gamble. We're here to make informed decisions about where our money is going to go. If we can put it into something that's going to go up, or if it was going down, we wait and then we buy it back. So a 50-50 chance, which is what I was calling it, is a gamble, and it's the risk versus the reward wouldn't have been higher. It wouldn't have. That's not a good risk reward. So I sold out. I sold everything. Very close to the top, actually, with Matic. It was over 4.2 cent, and I was prepared to miss out on it. But like I say, it was all to do with Bitcoin, and you can watch my video if you feel like you doubt me. It's all on there 2 days ago, saying the reasons why and what I expect, and it is kind of playing out. Now Bitcoin has pulled back, but it's not much. That isn't really much of a pullback, really. Was that 2%? It's not much at all. 3.5% at this point in time. That's not much. But you saw what it did to the market, though. By doing that, it's wrecked it, and there's a reason for that. Because Bitcoin pulling back again from this area at these lower levels of resistance isn't a good sign. It would suggest to me that Bitcoin is going to be coming down to this level here again, this 6,500 level, and probably over time it will break down from there and come into this second level of descending trend and box itself off in this little area, where it will wiggle around again like it has done on this here. It will wiggle around within here, and I would probably say it's likely to break out of it at this point. When we're in the 5,000 area, that's where we will start to go bullish again, perhaps. Again, we're speculating because we've not yet broken down out of this area, but it would suggest the way that the market has reacted, it's the way that I feel about it. We do have a death cross here. We have all moving averages facing down, even the 200 simple moving average. The only thing that's not yet facing down is the 242, which, it's losing momentum, but it's still up. But we're beneath it, and this is something that needs to be remembered. We're beneath this 242, which has never happened before for Bitcoin in a bull market. It's never happened. Now, I know Bitcoin's only 10 years old, but you have to bear that in mind. That's never happened. The crypto market is different now. It's got more money in it. It's highly leveraged. There's just a lot of differences to it than the way it was before, and it's reacting differently. This was different. This was too big, too much, too soon. And now we're feeling the hangover from that party. So there's a lot of things that are different. You can't go back in time and say, well, this has never happened before. It will never happen ever. That's not how it's going to work this time. It's a different market now. Anyway, that's what I expected to happen. I did expect to see a pullback with Matic. Now yesterday I did make videos onto where I would expect to see supports and resistances for Matic. The first being this level here, the 3.5 cent mark, which in all fairness was broken, but we closed our candle there. When we broke down beneath there, we just died. Basically, we just died. Matic's available for shorting on Bitcoin on Binance. Okay, so what goes up must come down, and when you shorting something, in my view, I always find it a lot easier to short something than it is to get a coin that you think is going to go up, because I find it a lot easier to spot weaknesses in a chart than I would do strengths. It's just the way it is. You can see when something begins to top out, and you know when it's going to go down. It will go down a lot faster. So it would appear to me that people noticed there was a top and were beginning to stack shorts. Once it broke down underneath its significant support level that didn't hold, we should have had a bounce here, it didn't hold, it was basically game on at that point, triggering people's stop losses, piling on the shorts, all the way down to this level here, which we hadn't actually seen since, we haven't seen that since down here. The last time we saw that, a Matic of that level was 3 months ago. Anyway, the good thing was we did find a big bounce from it, but we're going to have to start this one again. It's been broken. The whole chain of events has been broken, and I wouldn't say we're back to square one, but what I would say is, with Bitcoin looking the way it is, and my expectations of Bitcoin coming down into these levels here, that is going to impact the rest of the market, including Matic. It's going to bring Matic down, and there's nothing we can do to escape that. The only thing we can hope for is for Matic to have relative strength against that, considering that we've already come down, well, I mean, what are we now, about 55% down from our top? It's a very, very big drop. We will probably be very volatile now over these next few days, but for me personally, I can't look at buying any crypto until this Bitcoin situation is resolved. It's going to be very difficult for me to say if Matic is going to recover from this at this point. We were all set maybe to reach our all-time high. We were front run on the Satoshi value. We were front run just before we hit our all-time high. That comes as no surprise, because the people out there, the mega whales, whoever it is, the people who really, really do hold a lot of weight in this market, front run that trade and sold and kept that as a new top just before. And this is, like I say, this is where you've got to be. People are sneaky out there. You've got to anticipate what it's like to be a sneaky crypto trader with a lot of power. That is coming as no surprise. That was front run on purpose. A lot of people will have wanted to have sold at the all-time high or waiting for it to surpass it. These guys weren't going to let that happen, and it was at that point where I thought, if we don't come close to 570 satoshis again, it's likely to be a top, because we were front run that first time. If we if we don't get to as much as I'd say about 165 satoshis, it's likely to be a top, and we're going to come in back down, which is why I sold pretty much around that area. It was just around 4.2 cent where I sold, just above. So I'm not saying that to blow my own trumpet, but this is what I kind of saw happening. I knew there'd be a pullback, but the pullback I did think that we were going to find a bounce at this level, this 3.5 cent level, and I think a lot of people sort of thought that too. But as soon as that was broken, then it was, everybody stacked their shorts, and everything got liquidated. Everybody's stop losses have been triggered, and it's just gone right back to the drawing board. Now, for me, at this level, at this point now, where are we going to hold? The one thing that we have in our favour currently is that we are above the 200 moving average, the 200 simple and the 200 exponential. So our candle body has closed above that level here, which is this white line here. If we come back down beneath there, then we will be in actual trouble with the coin. But provided we stay above that level, which at today's price is about 1.7 cent. If we stay above there, we should be okay to actually recover from this quicker than you might think. Maybe the early stages of next year, we will have probably recovered from there. If we break down from there, if our candle bodies begin to close on the daily beneath that level, which is, like I say, 1.7 cent, it's going to start to get bearish, and we will probably be coming down again. So, a lot of people holding out to make purchases and buy this. At the moment, like I say, all eyes are on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is coming down. Bitcoin is in negative territory on the MACD. It's been rejected once again from this level here. The moving averages are all facing down. We have death crosses. I know there's a golden cross on the weekly, but that could take weeks to play out. It doesn't happen immediately. Yes, it has happened. There is a golden cross there, but that's one indicator, that for a long time frame indicator, in amongst dailies, which are still quite significant when it comes to time frames. Everything else is it's in a pool of bearish indicators. That one significant bullish indicator that people are referring to, it's not enough to keep it up for the moment. Yeah, that golden cross has happened, and that golden cross could quite easily play out within a couple of weeks, and we could start to go bullish. But 2 weeks from now, we could be deep into the 5,000s by then. That's a completely plausible situation, considering what everything's looking at. So bear that in mind when you're thinking about buying anything like Matic or any other crypto out there. Bitcoin has pulled back less than 4%, and Matic has pulled back, over 50% at this moment in time. If Bitcoin pulls back, and let's have a look at where this would measure out. If we were to break down beneath the 6,000 area, we're talking, 6,500 area is just short of 9% at the moment for the price where it is right now. And if we have to come back down any further than that, we're talking a significant retracement, all the way down to the 4,900, which would be what I would consider to be the bottom. That's another 30% from here. So you can only imagine what that would do to the rest of the market, considering how it's behaved already as a result of that small pullback. It's not that things are mimicking Bitcoin, it's that Bitcoin is dictating the way that the market is going, and people are losing confidence in the market now because we have such a bearish setup. Everything's looking bearish, the market is now looking bearish. Matic took the hardest hit, but it also has gained. I mean, technically we're still up from where we were a few weeks ago, so you have to bear that in mind. Before this whole thing broke out, we're still up by 25%, which is still a decent gain. So you put it into perspective, that's where we are right now. I didn't include this wick, but when we started to go bullish, we're still up 25%. So you have to bear that in mind still. The thing, like I say, to worry about Matic is if we break down beneath the 200 EMA on the daily. That's when it really does get bearish, and that's what I would ask all of you to be aware of. There will be probably some volatility and opportunities to buy, but with Bitcoin looking the way it is, it's not going to be stable enough. I don't believe it will be stable enough. We'll wait for Bitcoin to make its move, and its big move. It has to either prove to us that it's gone bullish and it's gone for a reversal, or it has to just get this move played out and go down below 6,500. And preferably, I'm going to be very skeptical of buying anything until the move has finished, and I believe this to be the bottom here. That would be the absolute bottom, just short of 5,000, 4,900. Once that's happened, we can reassess the entire situation with Matic, with XRP, with Ethereum, with everything. But until that's happened, looks like there's going to be a bumpy road ahead. And me personally, I think I've made my profits. I'm going to sit this one out now. I'm just going to have to wait. I don't want to risk the market coming down potentially another 30%, and altcoins coming down a lot more than 30%, because they seem to be a lot more sensitive to Bitcoin's moves than Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin wants to come down 30%, you can only imagine what that would do for the rest of the market. So in many ways we did hit our targets with Matic. I did say a few weeks ago that we're looking for a 2 cent and a 3 cent in December, and we could speculate what would happen after our all-time high, which could have been as much as 10 cent. I think all of that is out the water for the moment. We'll have to wait for the new year to play out, Matic, people are probably going to be a little cautious over buying Matic at this point now. However, like I say, bearing in mind from the beginning of this little run that we had, we are still up, like I say, over 25%. So it's not all that bad. I mean, clearly it's not going to be good if you bought towards the top here. It will recover. I know it will recover. This is the reason I follow Matic so much, and it did pain me to sell. I didn't want to sell it because I've been accumulating it for so long. It's almost like I've never actually pressed the sell button on Matic before in my entire life. I was quite conscious of that when I did it, but I did do it. So you know, I don't actually hold any at the moment, and I can't wait to get back involved in it. I cannot wait to get buying more Matic because it is a great coin with a great future, with great potential. And currently, I can't bring myself to do it, given the way I feel about Bitcoin and the market. Anyway, keep watching, because I will keep looking at Matic. I look at it daily, and if there's any other coins that you feel are appropriate for me to look at, I will. But bear in mind, the market looks like it wants to be drained, and it's going to be very difficult for me to give TA on anything at the moment that's anything other than bearish, because we are basically going to go bearish across the board now, I think, due to Bitcoin and Bitcoin's decision to take a step down rather than break out of this ascending trend. If Bitcoin had broken up and broken out of this level, everything would have been different, but it didn't. It broke down again, and here is where we are. Anyway, I hope you have a nice evening, and take it easy, and thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good one.